there's one franchise in the world that everyone knows, it has to be In 1977, George Lucas gave the world the very first Star Wars movie. Then in 1980 and 1983 came along The Empire Strikes Back and The Return of the Jedi. Then the world waited until 1999 to see the next trilogy that George Lucas envisioned. This new trilogy sparked a whole new generation of fans, myself included. Then in 2002, The Clone Wars came out, and then again in 2005, The Revenge of the Sith came out. That very same year, one of the best Star Wars video games, if not one of the best video games of all time, came out. Star Wars: Knights of the Old Republic. This was made by LucasArts and BioWare. LucasArts was a video game developing company as well as a publisher. You see, George Lucas wasn't only just working on the movies. He saw how the video game market would explode in the late 90s and early 2000s. And he capitalized on it with LucasArts. However, recently the company was shut down only to be revived by the mouse. And with this new revival, a new set of games have come out under Disney's watch, such as Battlefront 2015 and Battlefront 2. Which is now actually a good game once EA took their hands off the wheel and let DICE do their job. However, there has been a sleeping giant in the gaming industry that is almost ready to wake up, and once again, Star Wars video games will help wake it up. And one of the games they've made will surely do that, and that game is Star Wars Tales from Galaxy's Edge, which I'm going to refer to as Star Wars Tales for time's sake, came out in November of 2020. It is a game set in the Star Wars universe in which you play as a droid repair tech who has unfortunately found himself smack dab in the middle of a Guavian death gang that is now hunting down the Resistance for the First Order. Remember, this game was in development before The Rise of Skywalker came out, so it's set in between The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker. First, we're going to cover the main game, then we're going to tackle the DLC in another video. So the game starts out with you waking up on your cargo ship, only to be greeted by a friendly face known as J-4X, aka Jax, as he's called by the other characters. He's the first friendly face you'll meet in the game, but not the last. Hopefully he'll get a good story and he'll be a likable character, right?
Pirates, what?
Oh, never mind then. As you walk around the ship, you get a basic understanding of how the controls work. Then you get a call from your employer, Mubo. He's a little guy who's the owner of Mubo's workshop, I would have guessed. He tells you to start scanning the cargo in order to have it shipped planetside. In this section of the game, we learn how to use our wrist device and the All Toolkit, which gives you a screwdriver, a zapper, and a portable flamethrower, which is used to open doors where you can uncover a cargo container which has contraband in it. Or in Mubo's words,
But we're certainly not smuggling them. But we're probably also not smuggling them.
And this is what kicks off the beginning of the game. When you grab the jetpack and head back up to the control area, your ship is suddenly attacked by the Guavian death gang. And one of their leaders named Tara. She's a Quarren who joined the gang at a young age and quickly rose through the ranks with her very personal. Now you have to fight your way off the ship alone against a team of pirates to the escape pods. But not to worry, you have your trusty blaster at your side. But once you get to the escape pods, doesn't mean you're safe. Because once you get in it, Tara sabotaged the life support so your oxygen starts to run low, and you end up passing out.
So, fine. Totally fine. Unrelated note. If you start to feel like going to sleep, maybe don't. And is Jax with you? I'm not receiving a signal from...
Once you wake up from your crashing escape pod, you are taken to Caesarslak's cantina in Black Spire Outpost on Betu, where you wake up to see Caesarslak, an Azamel bartender who's your best friend in the game. He's a bit on the dumber side, but he's always a refreshing sight to see. And then Mubo walks in to see if you're still alive and rejoices when he sees you. Accompanying him is Ruby, who gives you a warm welcome by spraying you down so you don't smell anymore.
Aww, she likes you. See? Odor neutralizer.
After this meetup of the main cast, they send you on your way, again, to go collect all the cargo containers that were lost in the crash. Once you get going, you run into the Guavian death gang again, but by now you should have already had enough practice on the ship to know how the gunplay works. Once we've traveled through the caves and caverns of the Batuu Wild, we come across a familiar face. C-3PO is a staple of the Star Wars franchise, but he's only a half of the period we recognize him from, and even now his limbs are missing. So we gather ourselves and go out near a crashed container to gather up his stolen limbs. Once we return them to him graciously, he thanks us, but once more we open the container to find R2-D2. He's nowhere to be seen. And C-3PO pulls a classic C-3PO move and clumsily falls over, but this time out of the container. And once again, we're left alone, and we have to fight through the Guavian Death Gang's fire teams as they try to kill us for getting in the way earlier. But once again, we defeat them. As we regroup with C-3PO, we find out that R2 has been captured by the pirates. So we head over to Mubo's workshop to get more gear and Bacta to heal ourselves.
Bacta.
And we head back out to the Batu Wilds with C-3PO at our side. However, once again, as we step out into the wilds, we don't even get 10 feet into the wilds without C-3PO falling over into a cavern. Now with the Guavian Death Gang knowing that we're here, we have to rescue both of them. But once again, the Guavian Death Gang is no match for us. Because up until this point, we were on the defensive, and now we go on the offensive to clear them out and get R2 and C-3PO back.
There you are. I managed to elude those jump-scrapping monsters unscathed.
And once again, we get up to the pirates' base on top of the mountain. We can finally see R2 again. But this happy moment is fleeting because once R2 meets us, Tara is not far behind. Well, more like in front of us. She emerges from behind the doors to their compound atop a walker with a cannon attached to the bottom. And we fight tirelessly by ourselves.
Oh, D2, why are you constantly...
That is until R2 gets up to the control bay and drops the cargo that the pirates stole from us on top of Tara, sending her down the side of the mountain to certain death. Now that the story is over with, let's get into the gameplay. The gameplay of Star Wars Tales is very fun and it always keeps your attention. After a few playthroughs though, you start to see the punches that the game throws, and you can easily counteract them. But then again, that's just how people adapt and learn from games. In the game, you are given different blasters. The pistol, a 3-shot burst with pitiful ammo capacity. A blast repeater, which is your other best friend in the game when you're alone and outnumbered. The DL-44, Han's blaster, which makes a return, but you only have about 7 to 8 shots, and it's usually a 1 to 2 shot kill. Then the plasma shotgun, which has decent ammo capacity, but if you're really in a desperate situation, this is the blaster you want to have at your side. The enemies you face up against range from regular pirates to Trandoshans to Rhodians to armored pirates. And yes, the boss battle with Tara, which I especially like because most games I play don't really have a boss battle anymore, and this was a refreshing take. I liked it. And if you ever get scared whenever a bus jumps up to you on your screen, imagine the fear you're gonna get when it jumps up at you in VR. In the game, there are a few collectibles, being the droids you collect. You can find them scattered around the Batu Wilds. They are mostly the R series and BB series of droids. They're adorable and my girlfriend's favorite part of the game. And the game expands upon this in the DLC. Unfortunately, I'm starting to have this video run a little longer than I expected. And I have midterms really soon, so I'm going to have to cut the rest of the video short, and when the midterms are over, I'll return and finish the video series, going over the DLC, because the DLC is practically a whole other game compared to the vanilla version. But until then, may the Force be with you. Thank you all so much for watching, and sticking out until the end. I do have a Patreon, and do please subscribe.